Gemini. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for October of 2021. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco.
Well, Gemini, this month's focus on your fifth and sixth houses is going to have you struggling to establish a work-life balance. You may find yourself wanting to start a lot of little projects and getting overwhelmed. And if that's the case and you want something to help you right course, then the best help would be a natal and transit reading. You can find a link for that in the YouTube description below. Well, Gemini, Julia has got great stuff for you today about Venus and Mercury Retrograde, never your favorite thing, and Mars too. What's up, Julia, for the Geminis of the world?
Well, good question, Jamie. So Gemini, I'll begin with Venus because she is everybody's favorite planet. She tells us about our romantic relationships as well as what we're going to find pleasurable this month. So Venus starts the month and is in for the first week of the month, your sixth house. This is the house of work, and it's a very service-oriented place. So when Venus is in here, it's a wonderful time for getting along well with the people you work with. Also would be a good time to kind of make connections if you need to find a new job, work on your old social connections for your next job too. And since the sixth house is so practical and helpful, if you're in a romantic relationship, then the first week you guys will be focused on being of practical service to one another. Then on October 7th, Venus moves into her favorite house, which is your seventh house. This is the house of partnership, and Venus is the planet of partnership, so it's a great fit. So for all the single Geminis out there, the rest of October is a wonderful time to get out there and date, meet somebody new. And for the attached Geminis, this is going to be a wonderful transit for getting some more pleasure and joy and harmony in your relationship. Then Mercury, your ruling planet, begins the month retrograde in the fifth house. The fifth house is the house of games, the house of fun. It also rules children and creativity too. So with Mercury retrograde here, Mercury retrograde is a time of rethinking and redoing things. And in the fifth house, that could be everything from games, your gaming strategies, maybe creative projects too. If you have children, you might run into some miscommunications with them, or also while you're dating too, because this is the house of dating. So, be prepared to have to go over miscommunications with people you're dating as well. Or maybe you're thinking about having children and going over, oh, do I really want this? Or maybe not. By October 9th, Mercury is going to be exactly conjunct the sun, which we like to call Lesser Epiphany Day. So that's a very important day to keep track of, because you might gain some revelations and aha moments about this whole Mercury retrograde, especially with those fifth house matters. Then by October 18th, Mercury is going to go direct, and over the next week, it's slowly going to get out of its shadow period. And then all of these kind of miscommunications will finally be smoothed out. Then the last planet I want to talk about is Mars. That's a planet of action and activity. And Mars is spending the whole month, if not the last day, it moves into another house, but most of the month, it's going to be in your fifth house too. So if wherever we have Mars is where we have some drive, where we have more activity, you could be really, really putting a lot of attention into the games that you're playing. If you play any physical sports game, this is a really good transit for that. You also might be a lot more competitive in your great game playing. So make sure that doesn't run into any ego disputes with anyone else you're playing. Try to be a team player if you can. And if you do have children, you might have some frustrations and flare-ups with them as well. Then on October 30th, Mars is going to move into that sixth house of work and health. And we're going to really cover that transit in our next series of videos, because it's going to affect you a little bit more next month. So stay tuned for those.
Well, on October 6th, we have the first of this month's two moons right here with the moon and the sun conjunct in your fifth house. Both of the moons this month are a little bit adversarial because Mars is very mixed up with them. Here you can see Mars is hanging out with the sun and moon. And Julia spoke of how you might be feeling kind of competitive, adversarial in gaming, if you do that, or sports. But also in your creativity, you might find that you have a lot of drive, a lot of energy to bring to creative projects, which, can bring life out of balance, because there's that desire to spend energy and effort on work too, per Venus. So this first moon, we're calling it making peace with adversaries, mostly because of the influence of Mars, which is the warrior and the athlete and pioneer, and does bring that drive, that assertion, and that, ability to speak the rough-hewn truth to this moon. And so that will be coming out very much in your fifth house. And as Julia mentioned, it might impact your children as well. This is a house of children. So then the second moon of this month is happening on the 20th. You'll see that the fifth house is also involved in this moon because the sun is still there with Mars opposite the moon, which is in Aries, Mars's sign up here in the 11th house. So this is an axis that has to do with self and community. Who am I? What is my creative contribution? And also then, what are the groups that I spend time with and my friends, and how do they reflect me and mirror me to myself in a way that's a little bit more objective? However, having this rather hot-headed moon here in the 11th house suggests that you might find yourself in some arguments, some conflicts with friends or within your community or with communities that you're not a part of, but that you might like to argue with. So watch out for that. This moon we're calling negotiate strongly, then let go, mostly because Pluto is involved with it. Pluto over here forms a square to that moon, sun, and Mars, bringing in a lot of themes of power and control dynamics. And the best approach to that is usually like put what you want out there and then let go and let God, as they say. So you can find out a lot more about both of these moons in our October 2021 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. So the last thing I want to tell you about here is that on October 22nd, the sun is going to change signs, which is a seasonal change. It moves out of Libra and into Scorpio. This is the final one of 3 signs that have very much to do with the harvest. Virgo, which you have down here, is the one a couple months ago, September mostly, which is about separating the wheat from the chaff, harvesting the grains and the hays. And then in your fifth house is Libra, which is when the leaves fall from the trees, the plants start to look pretty bare, harvesting of the final fruits. And then we come to Scorpio, which is the killing season, the butchering season for the animals, culling the herds and putting the meat away for the winter, usually with salt. So it's very much a season to do with death and rebirth. This is the season where we have Halloween. It's also at times called the Witches' Sabbath, which is not really anything to do with anything devil worshiping. It's just an expression of a really ancient harvest festival that used to happen around this time of the year, where it seems like the veil between the worldly and the otherworldly gets a little bit thin. And isn't that Scorpio for you? So in this season, the sun enters into your 6th house of work, health, and service. Wherever the sun goes, it shines the spotlight of attention, and putting attention on things in a good way, in a good way in that house, wherever the sun is, will absolutely help them to grow, expand, and thrive with that life force energy of the sun. So this is really the season for you to put good attention on your health routines, on your work life, and how you organize yourself there. And then those things can really thrive and flourish in this season. Well, that's what we have for you today, Gemini. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find this horoscope, of course, on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, but you can also find horoscopes for your sun sign and your rising sign on our website, pandoraastrology.com. You can also find readings or take classes and check out our monthly forecast. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.